Hi, I'm Sean Reardon, Mayor of Newburyport, and welcome to the latest edition of the Mayor's Corner. I'm coming to you today from NCM Hub, okay? Because I wanted to come here because they have been the unsung heroes here in the city the last few weeks. So, NCM Hub is our community radio, TV, they do everything, right? So they tape all of our city council meetings. They record and broadcast all of our school committee meetings. My dad and I, you might just saw us recently, we did a basketball game up the high school, so they do all of our sporting events. Not all of them, but in the winter is very busy for them. We've got girls basketball, we've got boys basketball, and they did the hockey game last night with Drew Mulholland doing the commentary for that. And then we just did they do a community events too, so we just did our Whittier Information Night Wednesday at the middle school, and they were there too. So I just wanted to give them a huge shout out. They do my Mayor's Corner every week. So it's a lot. They're all over the place, and it helps us get information out to the public, right? And they're not just doing these things, they do a whole lot of other things too. So again, I wanted to start with that, and that's why I'm here today, because I wanted to give them a big shout out. So what's going on in the city, okay? We had a big snowstorm over the weekend, right? The first one of the year. I think over 12 inches of snow, started Saturday night into Sunday. I was down in Connecticut at my daughter's volleyball game, so I had to drive home through it. We got home around 9:30 p.m. on Sunday night. But I want to give a big shout out to the Department of Public Services, DPS, Wayne Amaral and his crew. They just did a fabulous job getting that snow cleaned up. And just for an example, right? So what we try to do is we try to get information out to residents as early and as quickly as possible, right? And we do that because these things can go a lot smoother if people can help us get ready for these types of storms. So for instance, we get the blue lights on earlier, right? That's our snow emergency. 10 o'clock, we started ticketing and towing, right? It was actually really even a little bit later for that, for downtown, because I wanted people to make sure they could go out, enjoy their Saturday nights, and then we were going to get ready for the storm because it was really going to start around that time. We only had to tow 5 cars, okay? And I know I heard from before when I took office, there were storms in the past where they towed up to 60 and 100 cars. All right, so we only had to tow 5. That tells me we're getting the information out there to people. People were able to get their cars off the road, and DPS was able to do their job because they did such a great job cleaning up the city, right? Because that storm just didn't end; it kept going all the way through Sunday. So again, hats off. We had to do a delay Monday morning, but once we did the delay, we were all set. And then a couple days later, the temperature completely changes, and then we get tons of rain, right? And we've just got neighborhoods in Newburyport that can't handle that type of rain right off the bat. So again, hats off to them. They were all over the place. Plum Island saw some scary high tides come in too, so we're going to keep our eye on it this winter. So again, long story short, we had two pretty good storms, one rain and one snow, and I thought the DPS did a great job keeping us up and running here in the city. What else is going? So we did have our Whittier Information Night, all right? And let's just talk about the background of that. I know I've been talking about Whittier for 5 months, maybe even 6 months at this point. So I am eating, sleeping, not sleeping Whittier all the time, right? So I've learned so much at that time, all right? But now it's crunch time, right? We got 12 days before this vote, right? So the process in this, so those of you that don't know, there's a $444 million school project being proposed for Whittier, and it has to go to a ballot question. The vote's going to take place on January 23rd. We'll talk about that in a second. But the information about this project, we've set up our own webpage on cityofnewburyport.com. Look for Whittier Project under the Mayor's Office tab. But the information hasn't been great about this, all right? So how do people make informed votes and come out for a special election when they don't have all the answers? Okay, Whittier started doing these community forums in the fall, late fall, right? Because the numbers for this project only came out in October 4th. So they started at the end of October into November doing community forums. Well, they did 2 of them in Raleigh and Georgetown, and they were pretty contentious, right? They were getting some really tough questions, and I don't think they really had the answers for them. So they decided to cancel all the public community forums, which is crazy, right? How are all these 11 cities and towns going to get the information, and we're the ones that are going to have to pay for this school, right? And in Newburyport's case, we only have 29 kids that go to this school, right? 860 of these kids are from Haverhill, 117 from Amesbury, and then the rest of us have under 60 kids, right? Again, Newburyport has 29. So that didn't sit well with me, right? So what we decided to do is we decided to hold a regional Whittier Information Night, and we had it at the middle school, big, huge auditorium, and we invited all 11 cities and towns. The first person I invited, though, was Whittier. I wanted them to be there to pitch this project to the community and answer some questions about it. Whittier immediately declined, all right? But we decided to move forward with the information night. So we had a couple hundred people there. Every single community sent elected officials. I will say, except for Haverhill. Haverhill did send the chief of staff to the mayor, which was great. But all the elected officials from the other 10 communities came and spoke, which was wonderful. But then we also had people from just about every community except for Ipswich, which is just awesome, out of 11 communities. And it was kind of a rainy night, so it was great to have that. We also had a lot of teachers from Whittier show up to speak. We had a few students from Whittier show up to speak. And then there's this Yes campaign, right? So there's a Yes campaign out there trying to get this vote passed, right? And they are being funded by the construction company that wants to build it. So the construction company that will benefit most financially for the project is funding the Yes for Whittier campaign. And they brought about 10, 15 guys, all members of the union and the construction company that are funding this. And they came and spoke and caused a ruckus. If you want to watch it, you can go to NCM Hub to get the YouTube link for this. PortMedia also has a YouTube channel, so you can certainly watch it. It was a 2-hour event, so it went from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock on Wednesday. But you know what? I've got so much really great responses from having this night. Once it brought a lot of us together that hadn't been met before, a lot of our elected officials, but it just allowed people to ask some questions. And what we weren't coming at from, and I've been very vocal, I am against this project, but we were very intentional that night of just presenting the facts. All right, these are the facts associated with this vote. And the goal is to get people the information that they need, and then they can make a decision, right? I mean, everyone should be doing their homework on ballot questions like this. Unfortunately, ballot questions like this don't bring a lot of people out to the polls. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is get as much information out to people as possible. So if you want to check out that YouTube link, check out that YouTube link. Or if you just want to check out the presentation from that night, and I think our finance director, Ethan Manning, did a great job laying out all the finances attached to this project, right? It's a $500 million project, right? It'll be the 3rd most expensive school ever built as of today. And it'll be the most expensive school ever built in Massachusetts as of today, if this goes forward. And they are getting some money from the state, no question about it, so they are getting some money. But the end bill for the 11 communities is $269 million. And like I said before, we have 29 kids that go to Whittier. Our bill would be $30 million, but over the life of a 30-year loan, it will be over $60 million for just those 29 kids. And the enrollment's not going up. We've stayed pretty flat at Whittier for the last 20, 15 years. So that's what I wanted to tell you about that. So go on our website. We have a lot of great information. Check out that PowerPoint that we used at the Whittier Information Night. And I know the other cities and towns are going to use that as well and kind of adapt it to fit their own numbers, not just Newburyport's. But this is not a Newburyport problem. This is an 11 community problem because we weren't involved in the process to plan for this very expensive building. I think if we were involved at the beginning, I don't think we would see the price tag that we see right now. And then maybe we could all be working together to come up with the funding for this building. Unfortunately, we weren't involved, and now we're in a spot where we're being asked to take a very quick vote on something that could affect the city of Newburyport and all the other 11 cities and towns for the next 3 decades, right? Because you only can do so much. You have a credit card in the city, right? In theory, when you want to borrow things, this could max out our credit card. So all those things that we have on our own capital improvement plan and the things that we want to do in the city, that could be in jeopardy. And then if we can't pay for it that way, we actually will have to cut from our own budget. So you're talking schools, police, fire, council of aging, all those types of departments we'll have to look at and come up with the $2 million to help pay for off this bond that the city would have to do. So that's basically what it is. So again, get informed. I'm going to have one more Mayor's Corner before the vote on the 23rd, so we can talk about that. But you got to think about it just really simply, right? They're asking you to vote for a project before we figured out the funding. So if you vote yes, you better be prepared to pay for it, because right now there's no funding mechanism attached, right? But if you vote yes, we're kind of stuck with that plan. All right, now we're going to have to figure out what to do next. If we vote no, the plan stops, and everyone has options and has time to figure out how we move forward. So that's the way I look at it. But I'll be sending out more information. A couple things I wanted you to know, though. So the Council of Aging is going to help arrange rides for seniors that day to get them to the polls. So we're going to have more information about that next week. I will be having lunch in the Senior Center every day next week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, to talk to residents about this plan and see if they have any questions. So I'm trying to make myself available, and we're trying to keep pushing out as much information as we can out to residents. Just some more information about the vote. So it's Tuesday, January 23rd. It's 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., that's a weird voting time, right? Typically we have all day. But it's 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., 8 hours, and it's all the regular polling locations, right? So if you have any questions, you can reach out to the city clerk's office. Now, there's no mail-in or early voting, but there is absentee ballot voting, all right? And I think you have to get that in pretty soon. I believe it's the 15th. and today's the 11th. So I think it has to be in by the 15th, but reach out to the city clerk's office. If you're not going to be in town on the 23rd, you can come to City Hall and get your absentee ballot, or you can just reach out to them and they'll mail it to you, okay? So keep an eye on that. All right, enough about Whittier. Again, if you have questions, please reach out. We do have a meeting coming up next week. It is the Newburyport Recreation Center Information Night. And that's basically, we've been trying to do this building down at 59 Low Street. And we got funding earlier last year around putting some money into the design work. We got $200,000 that we were going to put towards the design work. We haven't even spent all that money yet. But what we spent is we're at 100% development design, which isn't full design, but it's development design. So we're ready to share with the public what we're doing, right? So this isn't something we're submitting to City Council yet, but we wanted to submit it. We wanted to have a night where you could come in, ask questions, and you can see all the great work that we've been doing. And again, hopefully, again, Whittier's kind of this dark cloud, right, hanging all over everything we want to do in the city right now. Hopefully, once we can figure out this Whittier part, we'll be able to move forward with the City Council with the Newburyport Recreation Center. And again, that's a building that's going to house our Newburyport Recreation and Youth Services Department, but it's also going to be a building that all ages are going to be able to use here in Newburyport for recreation. So I'm really excited about that. I just want to say two quick things. I have no office hours the next 2 Fridays. I'm not going to be available in the morning. So if you have something that you want to talk to me about, I would recommend emailing my office, mayor@cityofnewburyport.com, or calling my office and just trying to make an appointment, and I will try to get you in. But I'm not going to be available the next 2 Fridays, unfortunately. And then I have a big news, right? I already talked about the State of the City address last Mayor's Corner, all right? So State of the City address will be February 28th at City Hall. And we also do our community and public service awards that night. That'll be our 2nd annual. That was a great part of it last year. But I got confirmation yesterday that Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll will be there. So we're really excited about that. And that's my Mayor's Corner this week. I hope everyone has a great weekend. It's going to be a long weekend for Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday on Monday. And I will see you all next time on the Mayor's Corner.